And today we have two phenomenal presenters here. We have Izzy Bermuda with us, who is an assistive technology instructor here at the Carroll Center, and one of his roles is to provide instruction on how to use a wide range of low vision and non-visual tools effectively. His quote that he would like to share with you all is to be kind and be patient with yourself, and you will learn it. Our other presenter with us is Brian Switzer, who serves as the Program Manager of Accessibility Technology, Training and Research at the Carroll Center for the Blind. Brian is a graduate of the Carroll Center's Independent Living Program and computer program. And prior to coming to the Carroll Center, Brian served as the Training and Technology Manager at Perkins School for the Blind. Brian holds dual master's degrees and is a certified assistive technology instructional specialist, or CADIS. In addition to his educational and rehabilitation work, he has consulted with technology companies to enhance the accessibility of their products for people with disabilities. His leadership roles in the disability community include serving as chair of the Rehab Council for the Mass Commission for the Blind, chair of the Advisory Council of the Deafblind Community Access Network, and he is a board member of DEAF Inc. Thank you, everybody, for coming today, and thank you, Brian and Izzy, and enjoy your first presentation.
Thank you, Tina.
You're welcome.
So good morning, everyone. I'm Izzy.
And I'm Brian.
Thank you for making this first presentation a part of your morning. And we simply want to be able to share with you this really neat low vision app called Rebokeh. And it was put together by Rebokeh. Now, Rebokeh means, it's a photography term that means that the focus is, what you're viewing is out of focus. And what Rebokeh means, they want to re-clarify and bring that out of focus and blurriness into focus. So your new app called Rebokeh was put together by Rebecca, who was a client with the Commission for the Blind, and I'm not sure what state, but she was an actual client, and she was 17 years old at the time and transitioning into college. And so she went to a tech meeting, and what was shared with her was all the latest and greatest tech. The big, large CCTVs, the tray that moves left and right. And of course, that type of equipment was around $5,000. And plus, you can't lug that equipment around. But that's what was given to her at that time, and she used that for her studies and academics. So she thought there had to be something out there more useful, and her team put together this app called Rebokeh. So we'd like to present that this morning for our low vision users. And so, Brian, let me share with you the Rebokeh app.
Oh, fantastic.
So the Rebokeh app, and I'm going to hold it right here.
Okay.
And I'm going to point it toward a booklet. And you can see that the booklet, like most newspapers, have sort of that gray background.
Oh my goodness, that's terrible for contrast.
It is. And the neat thing about this Rebokeh app, when I tap on the screen, there are buttons that are displayed on the window. And there are several buttons that are not here because we have the free version. There was a Rebokeh Plus, if you decide to go in that direction, and that needs to be purchased.
How expensive is it, Izzy?
Glad you asked, Brian. The app is $2.99 a month.
That's less than my cup of coffee a day.
It's a pretty good deal, but the upgraded version, I would suggest using the free one to begin with, and compare that with the new version. And I'll share with you some of the differences between the new version, rather the upgraded version and the free version. Now, what's important with low vision users is lighting, contrast, color inversion, which these buttons have.
What's inversion? I think I did it at the skate park once.
Oh, okay. So this inversion is a little different. And what that will do, and I'll bring this up in a moment. And what I'm going to do though, Brian, I'm going to begin with the very top button in the upper left-hand corner. And the app is the Rebokeh app button, we'll call it. And as I select that, it's going to bring up where you can upgrade, and you can also select your theme of the interface. We have an automatic, light, dark, and I used a dark because I like the contrast. The next are the button size. And because when you tap on the screen, the buttons will disappear, it's your preference whether you want the small, medium, or large buttons. And there's even an extra large button. Right now, I selected the dark interface, small buttons, and there's something called video stabilization. You may hear that a lot. It's used in the GoPro cameras, where you see the young people on their skateboards or bikes, and they have the GoPro mounted, and yet it produces a quality video. A lot of that.
So when you do inversions at the skate park, you can wear your GoPro.
That's right. And so it's best to have that left on, so when you're holding the phone, the image doesn't bounce around on you. And this is where you can also get a tutorial. You can sign up for updates and actually go to the Rebokeh website to find out more about the app. So that's the first button in the upper left-hand corner. The next button below that one, Brian, is the camera button. Now, when I select that, right now, the camera's facing, whoa, I need more sleep. So,
a cup of coffee.
right. So this is good for self-grooming. I can really zoom in on myself, and I don't want to. But yes, you're right about that, Rashad. I'll look scary. So us guys that are shaving, we want to make sure our mustache is lined up nicely. Maybe the sideburns. Maybe our glasses. Sometimes it's tough to tell if our glasses are smudged. And you can zoom in and kind of do some self-grooming, men. Okay? And for women that are using this is helpful for putting on your makeup, dialing up, etc. So now I'm going to use the rear-facing camera of the phone. And the next button on the very top part in the upper right corner is the light, the flash. And when I select this button, a slider comes up. And once I touch and drag that, it brings up the intensity of the light. And in some instances, you can see when I'm looking at the brochure here on classes, the gray background, when you put a lot of light on that, it almost changes color on us. And it's better viewing. And when I tap and slide over, it'll turn off. And I tap that button again. And now I moved away from the lighting button. Now, the very lower half of the app is the...
I could see that lighting button being great for, if you're at a restaurant, by the candlelight, you're on a first date, you gotta read the menu. The first dates are already awkward enough without, having someone read the menu to you. You can whip out your phone and...
That's a good point, Brian. You go out, you have a menu in your hand. You can bring this up, it puts some light on it, and zoom in on the menu. That can be quite helpful. I agree. Now, the very lower half of the app has other buttons. And right now we're using the free version, and you might notice there are 7 buttons. On the app that you purchase, I think there's a total of 8 or 9 different buttons that we'll go through. Beginning at the very top left corner or lower left corner is your invert. Again, a wonderful feature, and because we're using the free version, we just get this one free button here. And as I select that, you'll notice that the document I'm viewing inverts from a white gray background to a black background. The text turns white, and then as I touch and tap the screen and zoom in, It can magnify as much as you need.
Ooh.
And some of the gestures that I'm using on the phone, you're going to think this is pretty easy, Brian. If you use an iPhone, you know all about the gestures, right?
Oh, of course. I love my iPhone gestures. I can play music, swipe around, flick up, flick down. It's just like being at the skate park.
That's right. With with this particular app, there's just a few gestures. There's a single tap, a touch and slide up, slide down, and pinching. And if you're familiar with the pinching, all you do is touch the screen and pinch your fingers together, or touch the screen with your fingers pinched and pinch out, and it will zoom in and out. So those are the only gestures really used on this app, which is really nice. Now the button below, I'm going to go back and remove that inversion. We have a white background, black text, and now I'm going to pick the color inversion, which you mentioned, Brian. You'll notice two sliders, and the one on the left, when I slide this up, you're going to see various colors come up.
Is hot pink an option for one of the colors?
Hot pink. Let's check this out.
My daughters are asking.
All right, let's see. So there is a red, and we're going to move up to that looks like green. And as we move further up, there are some blues. Oops, here we go. Let me try this again. I'm trying to hold the cable in. Let's go through these colors again. What does that look like to you, folks? Red? Green? Blue? And there's your hot pink.
Oh, fantastic. They'll be so excited.
Well, to me, that looks like hot pink. And some other shades. And let's say that I think I'm gonna go with this color here. It's kind of a light green. And the slider on the right is sort of it allows you to select how it's a saturation. So it brings in a lighter green to a very light green. And that's all I get here. Now, color is very important. For those that have color blindness, what'll happen with color, if you see different shades of gray, when you use the color inversion and also zoom in and out, you're still going to maintain those shades of gray. And in some instances, you may zoom in. Once you select the color, the lighting, I can zoom in on the document.
I could see people using it for art, being able to like take pictures and inverting colors. You get some creative ideas of your surrounding.
Yeah, in fact, with the paid version, you can bring in your camera roll, and you can view your pictures in the color that you would want, or if you want to kind of sort through those and see what the opposite color of red might look like, you can invert that color. You can zoom in on it. So there's a lot you can do with photographs with the Rebokeh app. Next, I'd like to share with you, I'm going to get this back to where we had it. And let's see if Izzy can figure this out. And what I'm going to do here instead is there is a reset button in the lower right-hand corner. If I want to get back to square one, just tap this button. That looks like an arrow. That looks like it's a horseshoe style. And once I select that, it takes me back to my original setting. The next button is the brightness. Let's say I select my color. I like the lighting of the color. Then I can add brightness to this by grabbing and sliding up on that. And do you notice a document getting a little brighter? And it may be a little challenging but on the actual phone, what happens, it gets lighter and it becomes darker. And it provides good contrast. Now, what's important with lighting, and sometimes lighting is overlooked. Lighting really brings good contrast. It reduces your need for magnification with the right amount of lighting. And some of the lighting helps reduce some of that color where you're able to focus in on the text. Now, let's say that I had something in front of me. I'm going to take a picture. I have, how many are familiar with the Land O'Lakes cocoa? Hazelnut. Now, what becomes a challenge, of course, is reading all the fine print in back. And even the glossiness of the product, there's a lot of reflection, there's a lot of color there, right? What I'm going to attempt to do here is I'm going to take a photo of this guy, and then we'll zoom in on it. So I got the product. Now I'm going to zoom in on it. And
You know, this is perfect for Thanksgiving. Being able to read all the fine print on your different packages.
that's right. And what I'm doing now is pinching out, and that's going to come into view. And let's look at some of the ingredients on this cocoa mix. Sugar, non-fat dry milk, corn syrup, coconut oil, and the list goes on, and we can look at this a bit more clearer.
Sounds pretty healthy.
Now I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to hit the button here. And now another useful item is prescription. So I have a prescription bottle here. It's quite a challenge. And if we're on a lot of different types of meds or a lot of different types of eye drops, sometimes I'll forget what eye drops what. How many times do I take it a day? And right now I'm zoomed in. And this will be right in your view where you can rotate the bottle and come in on the prescription and view that. I can also take a photo of it. And so that comes in very, very magnified. All right. Now, let's do this. I can move the phone so I have a different view. Instead of a portrait, I have a landscape view, and you have a better field of view.
Mm-hmm.
What's the challenge here, though? That I need to hold my phone up, right? And sometimes your hands get shaky, your arms get tired, and there are stands that you can purchase, and they're usually on Amazon, and they're like monkey paws that grab the phone and grip it, and there is a device that attaches to the tabletop, and it can be secured. But the thing is, you have to move the document underneath the window or the iPhone so you can read what's underneath it. And at that point, you might want to consider getting a handheld magnifier, or we have here at the Carol store these digital magnifiers with a stand. So you can place it on the actual document and then move the document in front of the camera lens to view what you're reading. Now I'm going to go back to portrait mode. And Brian, what do you think of this app so far?
It sounds like an amazing app. I think it'd be very useful for a lot of people. I could see college students wanting to use it. You can zoom in on that whiteboard that the professor's writing on. You know, those things are a nightmare for contrast and glare and other things. So it would be very useful for that. Can you take a picture of what you're looking at and save it?
That's right. In fact, what I'm going to do, I've used this from my, well, I watch foreign films would come with English subtitles, and my couch is like 10, 12 feet back from my TV. And so when the subtitles come up in English, I can't read it from where I'm sitting. So I pull up the Rebokeh app, and I'm able to read the English subtitles from 12 feet away. And here's an example.